Motivation in math, integrating technology into a project-based math class. My research question was, how are Rich Danbrov and Bruce Weinberg using technology in their classroom, and what makes it so successful? So starting here at Calapooya High School in the project-based math classes here, teachers Rich Danbrov and Bruce Weinberg integrate technology into their team-taught math classes. Each new math concept is presented by introducing a new project, and the projects are chunked into manageable steps, and students collect data, perform a lab, build a structure, map an idea, or some combination of this. The final project includes an engineering write-up and analysis of their work. Observations while I was there. The sights and sounds that you can hear while you walk in the door can be everything from high fives and cheering when something works right and students get excited about their success, or upon failed results and adversity, the students immediately dive back into their work to figure out where their calculations went wrong, to figure out how to fix their robot, to figure out how to change and make their final product work. Students must either fix their work, complete their task by completing their task accurately, or prove that they are within an appropriate margin of error. So through this, the observations that I found is that working with robots is both energetic, challenging, and rewarding. So when talking to Bruce Weinberg about what they do, I cornered him down to describe what math really is. And he describes math as the notion that to describe and equate what has happened in this world, and to take that data and predict what will happen in this world. That's what math is to him. And then you finally use appropriate math equations to predict what's going to happen. So I would sum that up by saying that his use of philosophy, or his use of technology, and his philosophy behind how to use technology is the best use of technology in a math class is for collecting data in a fun and meaningful way. That way you don't have to use data charts and tables from textbooks to find how to use equations. You get to use your own work. And how they did it in this series was using Lego Mindstorms robots. The students all built these robots, and using this programming module right here, they plug that into their laptops and program their robots to do a series of functions that they can graph and collect data and then project what's going to happen and how that will all follow through. So when talking to Rich about this, he says he would describe that one of the most meaningful pieces is that the project with the robots requires mastery, because first the students collect their data, they get used to how fast it moves, where it's moving on the graphs that they use, and then they program their robot with using a particular math equation, and if that math equation isn't right, the robot won't perform the functions that they've asked it to. So one of the key pieces to this that you see is that in order to get the robot to do what you're asking it to do, you actually have to master the math involved with it. So this comes down to what both of them would describe as being higher order thinking, skills of observation, judgment, and analysis. So upon student interviews, a couple of things I took away from this. First was with the cons that with project-based math or doing lots and lots of labs and projects is that you absolutely have to stay diligent. You have to stay focused. Even if you move slowly, you need to move on with a particular task, thinking about that thing and functioning with it. The more time you spend goofing around or not paying attention to that particular thing, the quicker and the more difficult it becomes to follow through with the task. And with that also is that it's not easy to make up the work. If you come in late or don't come in at all for a day, it's not an easy assignment to make up at the end of the day or at home. You pretty much can't do it at home. So many of the pros, however, are that using technology is a blast. It's super fun. The kids have a great time doing it. They enjoy spending time with each other, working on this challenging task, working together. It's very engaging. It's exciting. Students get to learn at their own pace and have a chance to figure things out for themselves the way that they would normally do that. Also, one of the pros is that it's kind of hard sometimes. It doesn't always come easy and it's challenging work, but at the end of the day, it's incredibly rewarding for them. So right away, you'll notice that this meets many of the standards involved. The very first ISTE teaching standard is facilitate and inspire student learning and creativity. So what that means is that teachers, this is straight from ISTE standards, that teachers use their knowledge of subject matter, teaching and learning, and technology to facilitate experience. Teaching and learning and technology to facilitate experiences that advance student learning, creativity, and innovation in both face-to-face and virtual environments. I could go on and describe more of that, and I'll stick to this one bullet point that promote, support, and model creative and innovative thinking and inventiveness. Everything about how these assignments are designed and the projects that they put together is modeling innovative thinking and inventiveness. And each one of these is designed very specifically and well through Keller's arcs, starting with the A for attention. And they focus mostly on inquiry arousal, that complex, challenging tasks that draw on the novelty of robots and interest in technology. The relevance is cooperative learning, analysis, basic computer programming skills. They consistently meet math standards in creative ways. And while I was in that class for 2 weeks, I never heard a single student use the phrase, "How is this ever going to help me in the real world?" And then finally, touching both on confidence and satisfaction. The work is at such a high level of difficulty that it motivates students internally to push and to struggle and to work through the work. Students find they worked harder on this project than any other math assignment that they had ever done. And at the end, they mastered it. They did well and they produced a product that did exactly what they asked it to, using the equations that they worked through themselves. That they build both confidence in the subject matter for prior tests and satisfaction in the work completed. So in conclusion, projects instead of worksheets is a great place to start when you think about how these guys are putting things together, because you have an opportunity to collaborate, you have an opportunity to collect your own data, and you're forced to correct your own work and explain the errors that you came along the way. And students have an opportunity to think about how to prove that what they did works. So at the end, by the way, I should mention that this was designed, laser burned, and laser cut by a student in Bruce Weinberg's industrial arts class. And it just happens to move also. Pretty cool, huh? They do some pretty neat stuff there. So unlocking the door to motivation in math. Thanks.